spouses. Can you look into that? Because if I ask Mr. Barr, God bless him, he's just going to say, it's the fault of the bank presidents and Trump ate my homework. So I'm looking for somebody who can help us answer those.
To the extent that you're asking, Senator, about the process of once a bank fails, what does the Fed, what does the FDIC do?
Senator John Kennedy confronts the Federal Reserve's Inspector General in a fiery Senate hearing that exposes the culture of zero accountability inside America's most powerful financial institution. From dodged questions about internal corruption to explosive revelations about taxpayer-backed bailouts for the too-big-to-fail banks, Kennedy tears into the Fed's hypocrisy with unmatched Southern charm and brutal honesty. Watch this breakdown by Illuminate, where truth and patriotism collide.
And can do its job. Senator Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. General, welcome. Help me. I tried to listen carefully to my colleagues, but I'm still a little bit confused. You've been IG since 2011, and you do a lot of internal investigations. In other words, did some particular employee at the Fed not do their job? Is that correct?
Yes.
About how many of those you think you've done?
Well, in terms of investigations of potential misconduct or wrongdoing, we have typically had a running average of about 60 or 70 of those. Obviously, the pandemic...
Is that total? 60 or 70 a year?
No, at any point in time.
Okay.
Many of them are closed. New ones come in through our hotline, which we open up. But that's typically a rough gauge for how many investigations we have pending.
Since you've been there in 2011, again, I'm talking internal investigations, would 500 sound right?
I'd have to look into it. I don't want to give you a number.
No, I'm not going to hold you to it. Wasn't many. Is it more? You think it's more than 500?
I would like to look into it and get you an exact number.
Okay. In what percentage of the cases, just ballpark, do you find wrongdoing?
Again, it would be a wild guess, and I'm not comfortable giving one to you, but we can certainly look into that and develop those numbers for you.
Frankly, I would have thought you'd would have that before you came today. Do you think it's more than half?
No, I would not think so.
More than a quarter?
That's where I'm uncomfortable.
Well, is it happen frequently that you find wrongdoing, or infrequently?
It's not infrequent.
It's not infrequent? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And when you find wrongdoing, are the people who committed the wrongdoing, according to your report, fired?
Sometimes.
Okay. What percentage are fired?
Again, sir, I would like to get you a specific number if that's what you'd like.
Yeah, I think if you could get us that number, and perhaps we could do this again. Because I think people have the right to know that. I don't want to pick on the Federal Reserve. I just want to treat them like everybody else. And my sense is, and I think your numbers can prove or disprove this, but my sense is that it is easier to divorce your spouse than get fired at the Federal Reserve. And if that's the case, we're entitled to know that. It's a lot of money over there. And that's not a criticism of anybody. And tell me again about your salary. It's the average of what?
It's the average of both the salary and the bonus that is attributed to the other individuals who are similarly situated in terms of the organizational structure, which for me is the division director level. So there are 12 other individuals, and it's the average of their salary plus bonus.
Okay. So there are about 13 of you, and your salary is set on the average of the 13.
That is the case for all DFEIGs. That's in the IG Act as the formula to be
I'm
used.
just asking, are the others set that way too?
The other
The 12 other ones whose salaries are used to get your salary?
I'm not aware of how those are
Okay.
are established.
Okay. And do you get a bonus?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do the others get a bonus?
Yes, that's part of that average that I mentioned.
Okay. Do all 12 of the others get a bonus?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do they get a bonus when they say inflation is transitory and it's not? Do they still get their bonus?
I don't have the answer to that.
Okay. How do we get that information?
Requested from the Federal Reserve folks.
How about we call the IG? Can you get it for us?
IG should not be in the position of getting information to turn over if we're not otherwise engaged in an audit or evaluation or investigation.
I know you're in the, if I could have 30 more seconds. I know you're in the process of looking at the bank failures, and I don't want you to, I'm not trying to put you on the spot because you don't know yet, but you know, I find two things ironic. Maybe irony is the wrong wrong word to use, but as a result of these well, strike that. It seems that ever since the Great Recession, we've been very concerned, as we should be, about banks that are too big to fail. Big is dangerous. I'm not against big. I'm against dumb. So, but if you have an institution that is really, really big and it does something dumb, it hurts a lot of people. Nobody ever goes to jail, but that's a separate story. But it looks to me like, as a result of these recent failures, that our big banks are getting bigger. And I find that ironic. Again, maybe the wrong word. I don't know if you're going to look at that in your studies.
Well, Senator, that strikes me as being a straight-ahead policy issue. The Federal Reserve Board decides what rules of engagement for the supervision of banks at different sizes, tailoring, all of those are supervisory, policy-based decisions, and the IGs are prohibited from getting involved in overseeing policy.
Senator Warren and I may disagree with this, but we disagree a lot, but we still like each other. But see, if I ask Mr. Barr that question, I think the answer I'm going to get is, look, the problem with the bank failures is the management did dumb things, and they were incompetent. And yes, some of my regulators were not as proactive as they should have been, but it's Trump's fault. Trump ain't my homework. And I don't think that's a candid assessment of the situation. The other thing that I find curious, and I'm going to ask Mr. Barr about this. Traditionally, when banks get in trouble, you don't go out and shout it. You know, we're in trouble. They call their regulators, say, we got a problem here. Or the regulators spot it and they go in. And to prevent a bank run or panic, they handle it quietly. And the regulators will call around with other banks that are healthier and say, can we affect a marriage here? And that doesn't seem to be what's happening. And as a result, the healthy banks that would normally come in and help for a price, a fair price, and help the failed bank, the healthy banks, they're pretty smart. They're waiting. They're going, no, we don't want to come in too early. Let's let them go under. And then we'll come in and we'll get a great deal, and the taxpayers will have to guarantee all our potential losses. Can you look into that? Because if I ask Mr. Barr, God bless him, he's just going to say, it's the fault of the bank presidents and Trump ate my homework. So I'm looking for somebody who can help us answer those.
To the extent that you're asking, Senator, about the process of once a bank fails, what does the Fed, what does the FDIC do in terms of trying to get another bank to come in and take over or buy its operations? That would be kind of post-failure, so that wouldn't be part of our current review, material loss reviews, but we can consider looking into the kind of post-failure issues like that, or discussions that may have been had with the other financial regulators.
I'm taking too long, but here's what I'm getting to. And this is not a criticism of J.P. Morgan or Mr. Diamond. I have great respect for both of them. But you know the deal they made is a good deal. I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't have made a good deal for their shareholders. But the truth is, the deal was so good, if we still had white pages, you could open up the white pages, put your hand over your eyes, and pick a name and say, we're giving you this deal. And it would be successful. Because the taxpayers had to guarantee 80% of the losses. And somebody needs to look at that.
Senator, I'd be happy to come up and talk to you further about that, have my team come up and discuss it with you and your staff and see if there's a way.
But I want to talk about it in front of the American people.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, we can start by having a conversation in your office if you'd like. It's up to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy, I want to follow up on something you...
Folks, welcome back to Illuminate. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like, because the truth needs to be heard, and this channel exists to expose what the mainstream media won't touch. Now, Senator John Kennedy just did what few in Washington have the courage to do. He torched the Federal Reserve right to their face. And what we saw in that hearing should infuriate every single taxpayer in this country. Kennedy sat across from the Inspector General, the so-called watchdog of the Federal Reserve, and asked the simplest questions any honest official should be able to answer. How many investigations have you done? How often do you find wrongdoing? How many people get fired when they break the rules? You'd think after 13 years in that position, the IG would have those numbers ready. But nope. She danced, dodged, and refused to give straight answers. Not once. Not twice. The entire exchange sounded like someone who's never been held accountable. Kennedy finally said what we're all thinking. It's easier to divorce your spouse than get fired at the Federal Reserve. And you know what? He's right. Because inside that marble tower, accountability doesn't exist. They print trillions of dollars, wreck the value of your savings, and then hand themselves bonuses while telling you inflation is transitory. Kennedy asked her straight up, do they still get bonuses when they're wrong? When their policies crush the middle class? She didn't know. Or maybe she didn't want to know. Either way, the message is clear. The people running our money machine play by a different set of rules. And it gets worse. Kennedy brought up the recent bank failures. You remember those? The same ones that had taxpayers bailing out the same Wall Street giants all over again. While small banks struggled and collapsed, the big ones, the too big to fail crowd, got bigger. Kennedy called it what it is. Ironic, outrageous, and downright corrupt. He said it best. When the big guys mess up, nobody goes to jail. They just get bigger. They get richer. They get rescued. Meanwhile, you and I foot the bill. Kennedy also exposed how regulators didn't quietly handle these bank collapses like they used to. Instead, they let the system fall apart in broad daylight, and the big banks just waited in the shadows, ready to swoop in and buy up the wreckage for pennies. And guess what? The taxpayers guaranteed 80% of their potential losses. That's right. They take the profits, we take the risk. Kennedy nailed it again when he said the deal was so good, you could open the phone book, close your eyes, pick a name, and anyone could have made that deal succeed. That's how rigged this whole system is. And when Kennedy pressed the Inspector General to look into it, she said she'd be happy to have a private discussion. Private? No, ma'am. The American people deserve to see this in the open. This hearing wasn't just another D.C. exchange. It was a mirror held up to the deep rot inside America's central banking system, a system that's forgotten who it serves. Senator Kennedy did what every real representative of the people should do. He asked questions that made the bureaucrats squirm. He spoke for the Americans who are tired of paying for Washington's incompetence. And he reminded us that power unchecked is power abused. So if you're tired of watching the elites get rich while the middle class gets crushed, you need to stay informed. And that's what we do right here on Illuminate. Subscribe, like, share this video, because the truth needs to spread faster than their lies. This is Illuminate, where we shine the light on the corruption they want to keep in the dark.